Hey guys, this is part 2 in our lower build video. I would have done everything in one long video, but since doing everything that we've done so far took a half hour to do right there, I figured we'll make a two-parter right here. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to install the buffer tube and the pieces and parts for the rear assembly right here. So the first thing that we're going to do is now we're going to go ahead and we're going to install the rear takedown pin. So to do this, it's actually pretty straightforward. Just go ahead and lube up the rear takedown pin real quick. There's actually a little hole right here in the back of the plate right there. So you're just going to take first your little detent, and then you're just going to drop it into that hole. Take your takedown pin, and then I just kind of like to rotate it off to the side. You see that little slit cut out right in there, and there's your little detent. Just going to go ahead and pop that in there. And then you take your spring, go ahead and just push it in. All right, now comes the fun part. This is where a whole lot of pieces and parts have to start interplaying together in order for the whole system to work. Okay, so what we're going to do is now it is time to install the buffer tube and the castle nut and everything. So this is what we do. We go ahead and we take our little castle nut right here and we wind it all the way back to the buffer tube, and then we take our little plate right here which mounts to the AR lower. So you'll see this little oval cutout right here, and then you'll see that it's right back here. So we go ahead, and then what we do is we get this all lined up, and then what we start doing is we start screwing this on into place. And then you'll notice that your rear takedown pin right here is going to start rotating as you start putting pressure on there. It's the nature of the beast. It's going to just be rotating quite a bit. And then when time comes, we're going to get that lined up properly. So then it'll start to put the correct amount of pressure on the rear takedown. So we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to keep tightening this. And then we're just going to keep going around and around. All right. Now, just a little heads up for you guys real quick. So go ahead and get that pin a little cocked in there so it doesn't walk off or anything. So there is a little notch right here in the buffer tube, and then you'll notice this hole down in here. That is for this little guy right here, for this spring right here and this little detent right here. This is what the buffer tube is going to lock into, and this is what also locks the buffer itself into the whole entire tube system right here. So what you generally want to do in this case scenario is you want to go ahead, take your detent and your spring, again, give it a little bit of lube. It's not going to hurt anything. It never hurts to add this stuff on. Go ahead and put it into your little detent right here, and then we're going to go ahead and I guess we got to kind of walk it out a little bit. Okay. Fell down the tube real quick. Just the detent did. Okay. So the detent is in there right now. Okay. So then what you want to go ahead and do is you're going to put a little bit of pressure on here so you can rotate it. Then this is where having like a little flathead is going to come in handy. Now, the good news is that there actually is a little bit more surface area you can push down a little bit more on with this than what it was for the takedown pins. So, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of push that down in there a little bit, and then we got to push that down a little bit more. There we go. So what you want to do is you actually want to keep going until that detent gets all the way back to that little slit that they've cut into the part. So then you're going to go ahead and you're just going to keep rotating this guy. Just go ahead and keep rotating it. There we go. And then just to be just to be a little safe, on a little word to the wearer right here. As soon as I start turning that little hill right there in the part is going to disappear, and then if I don't have anything popping that spring down, it's going to launch out. So just going to go ahead and keep a little bit of tension on there so it doesn't fly out. There it is. So now it just kind of popped right there. And now it's just going to rotate one more time. So this is a good point to let everyone know of what I like to do with my AR-15s. Now, like I said, I haven't built a whole lot of AR-15s. But this is just something that I like to do real quick. So I'm just going to go ahead and we're just going to put a little bit of pressure on this guy just so we can get it around, and then okay, so there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to pull the little nub out real quick. So what I like to do is I like to put a little bit of blue Loctite on here. This is just a thread sealant that's going to actually keep everything nice and solid on this buffer. So after all the shock and vibrations start happening, whether with rapid fire or just over time, it's not going to let go. Now, it will make this buffer tube a little hard to get off by hand, but that's why you would want to use tools for that. So we're just going to go ahead, and then we're just going to take this little cap off. And then I just like to put a couple dabs on here, just so that I know for a fact that everything is going to be good and secure. Because the worst thing you want to have happen in this case scenario, because this is what is holding the massive buffer spring, and this is where the bolt carrier group rides in there and smacks back on there. If this thing is not properly tight and sealed, this thing's going to fly back and hit you in the shoulder with all that force. So I just kind of want to make sure that this thing is not going to fly off. So we're just going to put just one little dab right in there. And make sure you're putting it also in different locations too, because you just want to make sure that it's going to get evenly distributed. Sorry about that. Words are hard sometimes. So we got a little bit of blue Loctite in there. So now we start working our way in. And if you want to, you could put some on the inside, but I don't think I need to go that far with it. So now we're going to go back to the detent. Going to go ahead and get that into place real quick. All right. So now go back and get this all pushed down real quick. There we go. Get that rotated. And now just continue on a little bit more. You can see that we're already having a little bit of trouble with the spring right there. There we go. Okay. Like I said, we're going to have to finagle this takedown spring a little bit, because it's going to just get in the way anyway. But you just want to make sure that it's not going to be too much in the way as you get everything installed. This is when I said that you'll have a lot of pieces and parts that are going to kind of work together all at once. So I'd say that's pretty good. I don't have it all the way back, as you guys can see right there. But again, I don't know if it's really all that necessary to have it all the way back there, because as a machinist myself, I know that there are tolerances. So the slit could have just been, deeper cut in that regard. So we got our spring lined up now. So now we're going to put pressure on it right here. All right. And then that's all good. And then we're going to start to tighten our castle nut right here. Okay. There we go. So now just make sure that we're all good and tight. And then you just want to make sure that your pins will actually push in and out properly. So there we have the buffer tube installed. Now, obviously, if you want to go a little bit further with this, then I would say you would want to go out and get a spanner wrench and tighten this around here. At the moment, I don't think I have one, but for right now, I'm just giving you guys a basic overview. Okay, so now we've got our detent pin installed. Now it's time for the big boy, the big spring. So now, this is where, and just to make sure everything is still in good working order. So now we take our buffer spring, and then we sit this guy in here. And then we take our buffer tube itself. So then we go ahead, and this is another thing that I like to do. I like to take some actual gun grease, like legit gun grease is what it's called. This is the white lithium stuff right here. And this is the best thing that you guys can do for yourself. You're going to want to go ahead and put some gun grease on here. You're going to want to put some right here on the buffer tube, because you do want to make sure that you're going to have a good supply of grease around here, because this guy is going to use a lot of momentum, or it's going to absorb a lot of momentum, and you want to make sure that this thing is going to, just work good for a long period of time. So let's go ahead and take out the buffer spring real quick. I just want to put a little bit of grease on my finger too, just to kind of work it inside the tube a little bit. Never hurts to just, keep your stuff, decently lubricated, greased up, just so that everything is going to work properly and it's not going to be against you. One of the biggest things that a lot of people do is they like to take the easy route, the easy way out, and then what ends up happening is they end up getting hurt in the process. So never hurts just to add a little bit of grease to this. And then we're going to put the grease end that I had just rubbed all over. We're going to put that in first. And guess what, guys? It's grease. It's not going to kill you. Might help. Alright. Might help getting your skin all good. Alright, so now, here's where the fun part comes in. Now, we are going to install the buffer tube. Go ahead and just lay this in here real quick. Just kind of work that grease that's right there. So, now, we go ahead and we push this down. We just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Now, here's the important part. There are flats in the cutout of the buffer right in here. You want to make sure that those are lined up on, let's see, come on. Got to get this guy in there. There we go. All right. So, just want to make sure on something. So, there we go. So there we go. We now have our buffer. We have our buffer tube and buffer spring all assembled. So there we have all of that. So now, this firearm is now officially able to have an upper receiver placed on here. But there's one more final piece. The buttstock. So in order to install the buttstock, it's pretty simple. There's this little clamp right here. Just push down on that. And then you're going to just, actually, my bad. You push up on that. And then you just keep going. Takes a little bit of finagling, believe me. There we go. There we go. And now we have a buttstock on here, and then you push in. So you push out when you want to get it installed, then you push in to be able to extend it. So now, there we are. Now there is a little plate right here for your trigger guard. So that way no dirt and debris get inside there and cause a big accident. So there is only one way to install this. So you have a little spring pin right in there, and then you have your detent, crimped pin right here, not detent, crimped pin. And then there's only one hole right here, one through hole. So you go ahead and get this installed real quick. So easiest way will be to just line it up with it, take the flathead and just push on it. There we go. All right, so now trigger guard is installed on one side. Now it's time to install the other side. So now this is where just a good old-fashioned, pounding is going to push it all the way through. So just like with up here, it's going to take a little bit of, time. You got to get this thing lined up. But the good news is it's a little bit longer and a little bit wider. So should relatively be a lot more simple. And what do you know? It was. There we go. All right, so I got it through, and it gave it a good bite. Just a little bit more. Yeah, just a little bit more. There we go. Now the trigger guard is installed. So now here we have a fully completed AR lower build. I hope this video was informative for you guys. I'm sorry that it took so long to do a handful of things, but again, I don't do this stuff on a regular basis. So it was just nice to be able to do it again, and I enjoy doing it, but I need to get my hands a little bit more dirty with it. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys very much. I hope these videos were helpful for you guys. Thank you guys for watching, and have a very good day. And remember, shoot straight and shoot safe. Have a good day.